Game On is brought to you by Schuylkill Valley Sports.
Welcome to this week's edition of Game On. I'm your host, Jeff Bideman. The district basketball playoffs are coming into focus for our boys and girls teams this week, and league wrestling tournaments start this weekend. We'll have that and much more right here, right now on Game On. Joining us now in the Game On studio is Drew Markle. Drew, for a long time you've been a very outspoken critic of sectional wrestling tournaments. So they went out and they replaced them with the league wrestling tournaments, and I'm getting the idea that your opinion hasn't changed on them.
No, Jeff, every week it seems like I'm complaining about something with the wrestling, but you know, the sport needs to break the mold in order to get people to come out and watch it. You go to these matches, there are very few students there. It's the same crowd you see every year. Things just have to change. The tournament's this weekend. Like take, for example, the Suburban One League. We don't need to have these. You know, you can take a week off. It won't kill anybody. You can spend some time with your family. Give the kids a break, and then just go right into a district tournament. District 11 has been doing this forever, just having a district tournament, and they win an awful lot of state medals. We just need to just get away from it, take the week off, because you really have nothing, going on at these things. I mean, every coach knows which kids are going to win each weight class. The top 4 in each weight class move on to districts, which is absurd. You're basically eliminating half the field. There just needs to be a better way.
Okay. We know where you stand on the league tournaments. They're going to happen regardless, though. Is there any intrigue in them?
Well, if you want to find some intrigue, I would go to Penridge on Saturday, where you'll probably find in one finals match of the 14. At 126, you'll have Souderton's Colton Veit and Penridge's Ben Ross going at it. Now, these two have combined in their careers for 244 wins. Now, these guys are both legit state medal type of guys. They'll meet in the finals. They've wrestled 6 times in high school. Veit has won 4. Ross has won the other 2. Veit beat him a couple weeks ago in the dual meet, and only meeting this year. But as far as any other intrigue, it'll be kind of hard to find. And another thing with that intrigue, what Penridge should do, and the SOL Continental at Penridge, is they should wrestle 126, that weight class. They should wrestle that one last, instead of going the usual 106 through heavyweight. Everybody's putting their coats on and leaving while the heavyweights are wrestling. Wrestle 126 last. You've got Ben Ross in his home gym and the marquee matchup. That way you give people something to look forward to.
All right, we'll give people something more to look forward to. Your top 5's in the area.
Hasn't changed, maybe it'll change this week, but I doubt it. First, Council Rock South, Germantown Academy second, North Penn third, Penridge fourth, and actually CB East jumps ahead of Quakertown because East beat Quakertown in a dual meet the other night.
Thanks, Drew. As the regular season draws to a close, there are still a handful of wrestlers in our area who are undefeated, and our own Jen Wilgus caught up with one of them, CB East Francesco Fabosi.
On Monday night, CB East's Francesco Fabosi celebrated his senior night. It's more of a beginning, though, than an end for the star 145-pounder, who's looking to have a big postseason after finishing 5th in the state last year.
I mean, I've always had the goal that I have in mind, so it's always been this way, and now it's the year to do it, and I'm in the position to do it too. I already got to wrestle at Hershey, so I feel more comfortable there, because my first 2 matches last year, I was kind of real nervous, and it affected my wrestling, but this year I'm ready to go.
CB East isn't quite ready to let him go. Fabosi, who has never lost in the Patriots' home gym, will wrestle at Princeton University next year.
He's meant a tremendous amount. He's elevated the program. He's elevated the wrestling room. He raises the expectations of each kid in the wrestling room. He's great. He's a great captain. He's a great leader. You can see he's into every kid's match. He's doing all the screaming for me, which I appreciate. And like I said before, the kids responding to him in the room, and they respond to him out on the mat. So can't ask anything more of the kid. He's obviously going to be missed.
Fabosi might have a perfect record right now, but he's nowhere near complacent.
When you're wrestling good, I feel like any wrestler, when they're wrestling good, they feel like they're untouchable. They feel like they can't be beaten, but they know it's still the risk. So I knew this year I had to protect the rep I had last year, so people were gunning for that, so I knew I had to work harder than them.
His eyes are set on the prize. That's his goal from the beginning of the season, was to be a state champ, and he's doing all the right things to get there. So just can't wait for it to happen.
We welcome Dan Duncan into the Game On studio. Dan, district playoff seedings are set. For most of the year, you've been a critic of the SOL National Conference and their chances. But I understand Worms changed and turned a little bit, and you see a possibility of two of those teams reaching the quarterfinals.
Well, in one bracket, you have Council Rock North, Abington, and Neshaminy. And believe it or not, to some extent, I can see each of these three teams making some noise. Starting, most surprisingly, with Council Rock North. They're a 31 seed. They're playing second seed Garnett Valley. Lock me up, but I'm calling an upset, Council Rock North. Garnett Valley does not have an overly impressive resume. They're a balanced team without one big standout. CR North is a team I've liked all year. We've heard all about how enigmatic, young they are, inconsistent. Very athletic team, ready to break out with a big growth step. They change defense as well. They turn you over. They have a lot of guards that can handle and drive and shoot threes. I see an upset. Abington would play the winner of that game. Abington is the most dangerous 18 seed I can imagine. Two of the best players at their respective positions in the entire area. Michael Harrison opposed Deja Rawls at guard. I see Abington doing some damage in this tournament. Winner of that second round game would play guess who? I think Neshaminy, who is a very underrated 10 seed by virtue of the mediocre conference records in the SOL National. That hurt their seeding. They've had a great year and they're healthier than they were last year. So I see them going further in the district. So I think you have an SOL National team making some noise all the way through the first three stages of the district tournament.
All right, we'll jump over to the other side of the bracket, which is loaded with SOL Continental teams. What do you see of their chances?
North Penn, a 3 seed. They've been playing very well the last few weeks of the season. But what's very interesting, they play conference rival CB South, most likely in the second round. That's a very interesting game. CB South beat them 61-53 as recently as January 24th. We all know how good that conference is. I think North Penn can handle CB South the second time, but they would also have to avenge another loss, probably, from this regular season to get to the semifinals. And that would be Upper Dublin to beat them 35-34 in the play-by-play challenge. So it's not an easy road for North Penn, but they're equipped to handle it right now.
All right, two teams you haven't touched on, Souderton and CB West. Do they have a chance at the quarterfinals?
Well, Souderton I would give a puncher's chance against just about anybody because they can score. I mean, 12 games this season over 50, 8 games over 60, 3 games over 70 points. They play Boyertown, and probably Boyertown. Boyertown is probably going to get through their first round game. But they've got a tough road. If they win that, they've got to play the top seed, Mount St. Joseph. CB West, I think, is a team that a lot of people might not be talking about as much as they normally would. They're a 5 seed. They're on a collision course, I think, with Mount St. Joe for down the road. But I mean, they're as deep as anyone. Not as athletic as, say, a Springford, but they're going to give people trouble.
All right, should be a very interesting postseason to watch here. As the playoffs get ready to start, let's get our last regular season top 5.
Well, it's still Archbishop Wood #1, North Penn, and then the dominance of the SOL Continental, CB West, CB South, and Neshaminy with a lot to prove in this district tournament, #5.
Thanks, Dan. At Game On, we like to shine a spotlight on area athletes who are participating in their community and doing good works. Last week, Jen was at CB East and CB West for a Coaches vs. Cancer event. And this week, she's in Bristol at Grundy Ice Rink, where Pennsbury and Truman do the same.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, for 4 years now, Pennsbury has been staging a pink out each season at its home hockey rink. And proceeds from this special game, which come from sales of tickets, merchandise, and even baked goods, go to local breast cancer charities. To help with the cause, Grundy donates the ice time, and everyone involved really makes it their mission to get out an important message, and that is breast cancer affects everyone, and an important part of the fight against breast cancer is to develop a strong, supportive community.
Yeah, it shows everybody cares. Everybody wants to be part of it. It goes around school. Everybody He's real pumped up for it. We sell a lot of tickets, and it's all around worth it. It's like a game where we get to act like we're young again. It's not all about winning, and it's about having fun and giving back to the community.
This year, Pennsbury's Pink Ribbon Club raised more than $9,300 for the Healing Consciousness Foundation and Bucks County Breast Friends.
My grandmother actually passed away from cancer, and I never got to meet her. So I originally joined the club just for that reason, to reach out, and ultimately I ended up meeting these women from the Breast Cancer Awareness Healing Consciousness Foundation, and it just changed my life meeting them. They've really just opened my eyes, and it's like such a great experience.
I think that for all women, it's like very personal because any one of us could get it, and just seeing the women in like the Breast Friends or any of that, whenever I see them, it makes me so happy to see who I'm helping. And the fact that we don't just donate to Susan G. Komen like everyone else. I feel like Susan G. Komen's great, but they get money from everyone, and we can help someone local, and I really love that.
Kevin Cooney now joins us from Philly spring training at Bright House Field in Clearwater. Kev, it looks a lot nicer down there than it does up here.
Hey Jeff, it's kind of overcast down here on Wednesday morning as we're taping this, but I mean, you look at it, it sure beats shoveling a foot of snow, so I can't really complain after what you guys at home are going through right now.
All right, let's get down to the basketball talk. We'll dig right in on the Quad A bracket. What did you see that surprised you?
Well, I think the biggest surprise, and if you want to say the biggest injustice that was done during the district seedings, you know, with the math the way it worked out, you can't really complain too much, but how Abington was seated behind Pennsbury, a team they beat twice, a team that they had a better regular season record than, and a team that they won the conference by against, is beyond me. I mean, we've always said that there should be a little bit of an eye test for these teams, and there should be a little bit of a human element that could correct math, problems. And if you look at it, obviously, there's part of the math is that, teams are given really extra credit for playing a strong strength of schedule. Well, Pennsbury did play a strong strength of schedule. Abington maybe did not, but still, Abington right now is the better team in my mind, and that should have been they should have been the 5, and Pennsbury should have been the 7.
So let's get into those first round matchups. Which game most intrigues you in the first round, Kev?
Well, Jeff, to me, the most kind of the matchup that leaps off the page is number 15 Pembridge and number 18 Souderton. You're talking two teams, same conference. It's very rare when you get that type of matchup in the first round of the district tournament. And then you factor in the idea that Pembridge beats them twice, but the second time it's only by 4 points. It's only about 2 weeks ago. So to me, that's the one matchup that kind of stood out among the field. And when you look at the way that the tournament breaks down, there's no super team. I mean, Chester normally, this would be the Chester Invitational. There's no super team in this 4A field. So, the winner of that game could still do some damage. Normally at 15-18, there's a good number 2, and you don't think they have a shot. I think either team could win.
One of the best stories to come out of our area in the last couple of years happened this past weekend when Ben Salem team manager Kevin Groh played against Abington and Neshaminy. And Kevin, against Neshaminy, he scored 14 points on senior day.
Yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to John Mullen on this, because there's a lot of coaches who would not play their managers, and especially ones who have a kind of a disability, no matter the fact that it is their senior day. And for John to do that and to make what has been a disappointing season really a strong point, I think that's a tremendous thing for the Ben Salem program. It speaks to the character of the program. And to me, I think it's the best story of the year in local basketball, bar none.
Finally, Kev, how does your top 5 look this week?
All right, this week's top 5s, we're not following what the district powers say. We're putting Abington at number 1. We're putting Pennsbury at number 2. Germantown Academy stays at number 3. Then number 4 is Holy Ghost Prep, who, by the way, is the top seed in AAA, probably the favorite to win AAA in District 1. They don't have to go through Newman Goretti or Carroll until they get into state, so that's a good idea. And number 5, we're going to throw Pembridge in there because, at this point, Pembridge, now that Continental Conference, I kind of think they're the team that has the best shot of advancing. So I'll take the Rams to come out of that. Archbishop Wood falls out of it.
Kevin, Thanks for joining us from sunny Florida, and we'll look forward to your report next week from Clearwater. And for Kevin's fans, his daily updates can be found on our website. And now, for those of you who have wondered how District 1 seating is put together, our own Jen Wilgus sits with District 1 basketball guru, Buff Raddick.
Back when Buff Raddick coached basketball, the District 1 playoff seating meetings could get pretty heated.
We used to get into a room, and I'll use the word discuss. The difficult thing about that was most of us on the committee were coaches. And you know what it's like to be a coach in the season. You know, it's very difficult to get out and see other teams. And what would happen is you get into the meetings and coaches or reps that are coaches are talking about their teams compared to other teams. And after 6-7 years of it, I just thought, this just isn't fair.
Things have changed dramatically since Raddick and his fellow committee members came up with a mathematical formula to weigh wins and losses and determine playoff seeds. Of course, the current system isn't perfect either.
The computer doesn't factor in trends. You know, I personally think it's important to know which teams are playing best the last 10 games of the season. So that's a downside of not having any human element at all.
Down the road, Raddick thinks the seeding process could combine both math and human debate.
Ideally, if you could have a group of people that watched basketball games through the winter, you know, weren't involved in coaching, maybe former coaches or something, you know, and they took the power ratings into a room, and then, you know, now you have the human element with it, kind of like they do in college. I think that would be a productive way to do it. But I think at this point it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. And there's no formula that doesn't have a flaw to it. I mean, they all do. I mean, you can pick something out of any formula. But I would say for the last 7 or 8 years, I mean, it's worked. It's fair.
That'll do it for all of us here at the Game On Studio. As always, we love to hear from you, our fans, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at HS Game On. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday.